February 5th, 2016. This is the Overdose Talk Show. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Vinny here. I'm all alone tonight. Andrea went to the hospital earlier. She had some kind of a asthma lung thing going on, and she couldn't breathe. She sent me a text message that said, I can't breathe. I'm going to the hospital. And I sent her back a message that said, can't breathe, or you're just too lazy. Then I realized that you can't just joke about every situation. I'm not sure how that was perceived on her end, but she went to the hospital. She turned out okay. She's got some, I don't know, man. She's got asthma and she smokes a lot of weed, and she just had bronchitis. So I wish she'd be more careful with her lungs, but you know, what are you gonna tell somebody not to smoke weed? I don't know. She's gonna be all right. She's fine. She's got to take some kind of medicine. I don't know. I'm an asshole. I didn't really pay attention to what she told me. But yeah, from my understanding, she should be alive and kicking for quite some time and should be back on the show. I don't know. Next show, I would hope. So here we are. We got problems in this country. We got a lot going on. I can't believe I don't want to say this. The lack of knowledge that people have on this whole Oregon situation and their righteous conviction, you know, while being ignorant, they're so sure. And I'm talking about people who kind of are really against these guys and people who seemed to take pleasure in LaVoy Finicum's death, which is just, you know, whatever. It's not that I've never done it with someone who I hated, gone, fuck that guy. So, you know, it seems sick, but it's detached. It's not real. If they had actually met him or something, they wouldn't be so callous, probably. But at least some you would hope. But there seems to be this disconnect. So people, the most educated I've seen someone be, I'm talking comment sections and YouTube videos and however else we've kind of been communicating about this whole thing outside of the mainstream media, the big disconnect seems to be that some people don't understand that just because someone was charged with a crime and that one interpretation of a law allowed for them to be convicted, that doesn't make it right. So you're ignoring the fact that these people are saying this was a tyrannical act and an act of aggression by the government, and we're standing up for it. You can't just write it off as, hey, arson is a crime, and arson on federal land, you can be charged with this terrorism. So if you're going to do the crime, you should know the risks, and I don't feel bad for anybody. What? Where does this mindset come from? I don't understand this. Coupled with the fact that if you look back at the history of the thing with the Hammonds, you know, one of these things was an accident. It burned a relatively small area. The other burned a minuscule area, like an acre or two, I think. But one of them was an accident, and it was actually noted by the judge in the case that the fire had a positive impact on the ecosystem. That was shown. Don't ask me how. Whatever. That was acknowledged by the judge in the case. So this entire thing is completely drummed up to try to debilitate these people. And by the way, through the appeal process, the BLM got the first refusal rights to the property, which means if they're going to sell it, they have to first offer it to the BLM. Do you understand this? Do you understand? You cannot write it off as, don't break the law if you don't want to get killed. You just can't. And there's another fucking thing going on. This whole idea of write-off by association. Of, I'm just going to write you off because you support this thing, so obviously you're just a right-wing asshole Christian or something. And it's like, look, I don't want to fucking demonize Christians any more than any other religion. Obviously, the power structure of the religion's all demonized, but, whatever. People do what they do. I'm not fucking Christian. I'm not socially conservative. I'm an idiot when it comes to economics, so I don't even have a fucking classification there. You can't, and so when someone does that to you, you go, this is an idiot I'm talking to. So this guy goes, you're obviously just some right-wing, asshole. That's why you believe this bullshit about the Pacific Patriots Network. I'm like, first of all, I'm not in your fucking left-right game. I'm not part of that. So can you make I just ask him, can you make an intelligent point without the labeling? Can you say something about why you support the BLM and why you think the federal government was justified in charging two guys who burned up some grassland that you're never gonna fucking go? Who's going to this land? Everybody's acting like this is federal land, supposed to be for all of us. Oh, really? Well, yeah, because the federal government is so good at fucking at sharing with the citizens and acting in the public's interest. Whatever. Throw that out of it. Are you telling me that you assholes that are claiming this, like, this is public land, it's not just theirs to burn, what are you going to go hike through this stupid fucking valley in Oregon as if there's not vast expanses of beautiful wilderness all over this country? Of course, nothing like it once was, but it's there still. There's amazing things out there. There's plenty of places to go. Why act as though you give a fuck about this few acres of land? That's just some valley in Oregon full of cows. Gives a shit. It probably looks exactly the same as Iowa. Who cares? You don't actually care is my point. You don't actually care. You're just jumping on a bandwagon of demonization because the whole thing scares you that there's guns and strong convictions about standing up to the government. You can't believe that would ever be legitimate. So that's what if you're really just blindly against these militia guys, and not that I'm fucking calling them heroes or founding fathers, although there's certainly aspects of this that are admirable, to say the least. But if you just blindly write them off, you're implicitly supporting the BLM and the federal government having charged these guys with terrorism, which if you do that, I mean, you're either just so subservient that logic won't get through to you anymore, or you're just ignoring the history, or you haven't looked into it. So you tell people this, or say it in a nicer way or whatever, which is another thing I've been trying to do, is take a softer approach, because that's the only way you can get anywhere, honestly. And all I've seen from the general person commenting and stuff is just a refusal to engage in a linear discussion, point for point, and to address the original grievances. You'll eventually get just a cop-out of, well, hey, I don't know, but they certainly did the wrong thing by taking arms and occupying a building. Well, then you have to tell me at what point is that all right to do? And a lot of people might be able to make a great point about why this wasn't the right time from many different angles. But this is what I'm saying. If you don't know what you're talking about, you can't write just people off because you think that people support these ranchers are Trump voters, or you think that they're crazy, extreme right-wing, gun nut, blah blah blah, whatever. It's just if you're so sure that you're right, this is what I don't understand about people. If they're so sure that they're right, why are you not willing to engage in a simple point by point debate? Why is it always this weird cop out shit and this fucking just association little games of well, if you like this, you must just be one of these guys, so you're not going to get it or whatever. You just what no. What happens if I'm a free thinker? Can you debate a free thinker? Or is your whole strategy to write people off and to feel intellectually superior because you joined this side? And I mean, we're all smart over here. The fuck is going on over there? Half the country's obviously fucking stupid. Look at them. You can't be that naive. You cannot be that naive. And to tell you the truth, I haven't seen one rational argument for why you should be so blindly opposed. And I'll stop saying blindly, or why you should just be opposed in general to these guys. I haven't seen it. They literally caused no damage. I think they ripped a few cameras down or whatever. I don't care about that. They were put there after they got there, or they found out the FBI was accessing them or something. So great, make them pay for cameras if you want, but they're not rioting. They're not fucking destroying stuff, and they pointed guns at 0 people. Now I realize the implication is there, and you can't just walk around with a gun going, hey, I demand this, and I'm not leaving, and I'm prepared to defend myself. And then if someone doesn't give it to you, you can't go like, well, come on, I never threatened anyone. Like, it's a gray area there, but it all depends on whether you think that they had the moral right to stand up in this way. And a lot of us do. But if you don't, tell me why. And it better include a good understanding of the history here, because that's the only way to understand this situation. Because you'll care when it comes to you, You'll care a few years down the road when your way of life is attacked. And then everybody out in the country goes, ha ha, city boy, liberal, or whatever, you know what I mean? And you try to explain your situation, and people go, you just want a handout. Shut up. Stop whining. Most people that demonize these guys don't like when anti-police and anti-racism movements are demonized in the same way, and Occupy movements and things like that. And I don't think that they should be either. I truly believe if you think you're right, then you should have no problem engaging in a polite point-by-point breakdown of the issue and flushing it out. If you're going to waste your time and energy just trying to feel superior and being just some weird, casual, uninformed elitist, you're never going to get anywhere. And in the end, don't we all kind of have common goals here? Don't we all just kind of want to make the country a better place and pretty much share, similar values in most ways, besides these hot button issues of, that we classically fight over for decades? Why is everything just fucking arguing and going nowhere? Listen to someone else. And if they're truly uneducated, don't say, you're stupid, you've never even looked at, say, well, here's what I want to tell you. And if they at that point say, well, I don't believe you, and they don't look into it on their own, then fuck them. Then we don't need them. But this bickering is a waste of time, and I've been doing too much of it lately about police and about fucking this Oregon thing. I don't know what to do with some people. I really don't. If you just look at the details and all the ins and outs of the way that the case was handled with the Hammonds, and I realize the Hammonds didn't support this occupation, but that doesn't mean that the guys doing it don't have real grievances in response to this case. And this case, the Hammond case, by the way, tip of the iceberg. This doesn't happen because of one fucking little misstep that the government makes. Do you think real armed protests and occupations like this, or even a riot like has happened with, for police accountability, especially in black communities, with all the hype on that in the past few years, you have to look at this stuff and give it the same benefit of the doubt. When I see riots, I don't see a bunch of crazy fucking assholes who just want free shit. But I go, wow, this represents a long period of anger building up in a community. Well, you have to look at this other thing the same way. People don't just go crazy for no reason and then occupy a building with clearly stated purposes, give radio interviews, be completely willing to discuss their point, willingly meet with law enforcement repeatedly, unarmed, by the way, until law enforcement started, as LaVoy Finicum put it, rattling their saber. These guys were completely, some of them, not all of them, some of them were completely lucid, and you can't just think it's just some bunch of nutcases that just fucking did this for no reason. No matter what the end result of what, becomes the prevailing view on how, on the merit of all their actions and the whole thing, you can't just go, bunch of crazies. Crazy people just start shooting. That's what crazy people do. Crazy people with delusions of grandeur and a will to hurt others and be hurt and a desire to have their fucking face on Time magazine, which is just, I don't know why that happens, but they just go to a mall and shoot everyone. They don't do that. If these guys were just a bunch of crazy assholes just trying to start trouble, there's a lot of things that would have happened differently. So I'm just sick of the write-off by association trademark. I'm sick of it. And the police thing, I have had the same dumbass argument about police 50 fucking times. I can't do this anymore. I can't explain to people, and then it always comes down to the same thing, is if you're pro-police, you just don't understand the difference between legality and morality, which is a crazy disconnect, because they'll walk with you all the way up to the edge. You'll go, hey, come on, man, you can't be so naive that you think that laws are passed simply based on moral codes and the people's best interests. You know how this stuff happens. I'm sure you know a thing or two about lobbies, or something about the way Congress is. Nobody thinks Congress isn't a complete joke of just corruption and mayhem. No, nobody's that naive, and they'll walk with you that far. They'll go, so they just make laws. They have nothing to do with what the people want, first of all, or what's in their best interests, or what even works as far as crime goes. You know, they have nothing to do with any of that. And even a cop himself will walk with you. Yeah, you're right. Everything's like that. Okay. So when you enforce a law that is put into place for a more immoral purposes, and it's an immoral law, you are committing an immoral act by enforcing it. No, I don't think that. Well, why? Well, if you didn't want to get arrested, you shouldn't have broke the law. Oh, man. It's honestly like trying to give a physics lesson to a dog. It just goes around, and sometimes you see like a glimmer in their eye, and there's a hopeful minute, and it just always comes crashing back into this. Like, I remember a cop told me one time, well, you know, I didn't put the bag of weed in your pocket. Only he said baggie. I didn't put the baggie of weed in your pocket, and you knew it was illegal when you left the house. So don't look at me. Like, how does that make any fucking sense to you? How does that make sense to you? You're also making the choice to enforce the law. And I know they're going to say, oh, well, it's my job. So if I don't do it, I'll get fired. Well, then your job is just one that requires you to do immoral things. How does that make it better? How the fuck does that make it better? Well, we're protecting people. Oh, Jesus. Look up the fucking studies on your own. All the numbers are there. The police aren't protecting shit. Just because of the anecdotal here and there. I stopped the guy and he was on his way to kill someone and we got him first. Oh, wow. Okay. You know, but you don't stop 99.99% of murders. You're not, and they're not willing or able to. They couldn't if they wanted to. They're not here to prevent crime. They're here to document it and bring an accused person to a court for a fair trial. And people, for some reason, have bought into this lie that they're here to protect you, whatever. And that's their big myth. They're the one little fiber, you know, that that's just hanging on, this one little thread that just keeps society from devolving into utter chaos. And it's such a ridiculous view to have. And I know if you took all the cops away tomorrow, there are people out there that would fucking do some crazy shit just because they could. I know. That's all in the argument. It's all in there. Don't worry, because guess what? The police are doing a fuckload more harm, in my view, than a few nutbags can do. And if we developed a culture that was more self-reliant and we were more responsible for our own safety, because, by the way, we are anyways. The fucking police, the idea of police protection is a complete myth anyways, for the most part. So let's throw that out and realize we're protecting ourselves anyways and that we can do better than this. I would have no fucking problem with police that enforced real crimes and only real crimes. Like, people always go, well, what's your solution? Okay, well, fuck you. Here's a solution. Police. All right, you know what? I got it. Leave all the laws exactly how they are. Leave them for all those cocksuckers in suits to fucking squabble over and have a great time with. Here's what I want. Here's my solution. Police should only enforce a law when they've received a call on it. How about that? If you've actually fucking done some harm to someone or actually disturbed the peace or something like that as a result of some behavior that is illegal, then fine. Then okay. Do you know how massively that would reduce the negative impact that police have on society? You know, if you... No, we don't need cops driving around fucking right, giving all of us extra problems with a ticket for this and a ticket for that and blah blah blah, and that, it's just, dude, it's, what is it doing for us? Society's not a game where you just go, well, hey, you got caught, you got to pay your money, gotta chip your credits in, and that money goes to schools, by the way. Oh, really? Great. Shut up. Leave the laws, but only have police respond when they're called. Sit on your stupid fucking asses at the station until somebody fucking asks for you. That's my solution. And we can expand and tweak that. That's just that's just a prototype right there. And obviously, there's so many laws that are ridiculous. People are buying into the whole Bernie Sanders thing. I don't see shit new about this. Show me a guy who wants to fully legalize every controlled substance and give a full pardon to every single inmate in this country who's in there as a result of this absolutely diabolically conniving and evil war on drugs. Show me that candidate, and then I'll fucking get all excited with you. Show me the candidate that says, hey, don't show me the fucking guy that goes, I'm going to revolutionize education. Oh, really? How are you going to do that? Well, okay, I'm actually going to revolutionize the way we pay for education to the same structures that have been fucking us for years. You don't need, here's another news flash for you. You don't need college when you have the internet. Okay? I know that sounds ignorant to some people who are still caught up in this idea that a structure, a hierarchical, authoritarian presence where our education is filtered down through private interests and all types of fucking shenanigans with textbooks, and then blah, 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 whatever. Yeah, that's somehow more legitimate than an independent education where I trust myself to judge the validity of a source, through doing research on the source. We have to evolve. We don't need these institutions. We don't need universities to give us fucking, little certificates for just the right to a halfway decent life, We don't need this anymore. You can learn for free. We got to throw some of this shit out. And so why throw more trust into government, throw more trust into institutions? How is this new and fresh? I don't understand the Bernie Sanders stuff. I really don't. I get that a lot of people are in it for this idea that, hey, we need to go after the banks and the 1%. Okay, great. Every candidate is going to say a couple things I agree with. He's not going to fucking do it. It's not going to happen. It's just not. It's this same trick over and over. Every one of these fucking assholes they parade out in front of us is supposed to be this fucking maverick in some way, this outsider, blah, blah, blah. It's every one of them. Here's why he's not the same thing that's been fucking you for 200 years. Now, here's why this guy's not the same thing. I've heard it about everyone that's come around in my life. They said it about fucking George Bush, and his dad ran the CIA and then was in the White House for 12 years. But that was a right-wing selling point. Hey, he's not like a, he's a Texas guy. He's, his childhood in Connecticut didn't really rub off on him at all. Wherever the fuck he's from. But I don't see shit about Bernie Sanders that says new, fresh, a different kind of No, I don't see it at all. What is it? What is it supposed to be? He hugged that Muslim woman, what the fuck was that? And why? And not from some stupid angle of, you know, oh, why are Muslims getting such nice treatment? No, it's just what an obvious pandering, just completely obtuse. You're being obtuse. Remember that? Shawshank Redemption. Remember? Just such an obtuse display of just, I don't know what else to call it but pandering, honestly. It's kind of late. My vocab might not be quite on point tonight, but I could not believe the crowd reaction when he calls. If you haven't seen the video of Bernie Sanders hugging the Muslim, it's just, what are we, a country of fucking 5-year-olds? What the fuck is this? I don't understand why that makes you clap your hands together because he hugged a woman in the Muslim hood. I don't know what that thing's called. And it's what that simple, empty, meaningless gesture that the most evil person on the planet would know to do in front of a crowd is just, you just lap it up like a bunch of fucking sheep. I don't understand. What's wrong with you guys? A lot of you Bernie supporters are fucking friends of mine and people I like and respect in certain ways. And I don't get how you're falling for this. I really don't. You know, you're good people for the most part. Well, you know, you're well-meaning and have good intentions. And I think you're just being naive. And we're all just going to be on this same fucking ride again. Not that there's another choice. Not that it really fucking matters. So, you know, he's going to win. Well, I guess we're going to see what happens. I know what's going to happen. The same thing that always happens. How do I know? Because I've been paying attention and I've kind of picked up on some trends here that I feel like are pretty compelling, because it seems to me that there was a guy about, I don't know, 7 years ago who was new. And this guy was, hey, he's from a different kind of background. He's interesting. He's worldly. Did I mention he's black? Man, this is going to shake things up. Okay, well, here we are. What happened? What happened to that guy? Where did he go? What happened? Did the Congress, did the Republican Congress block all the things he was going to do for us? Really? That's the same thing every fucking time. Hey guys, I was really going to help you out. I swear all those promises I made, I wanted to, but this pesky old Congress shifted from left to right and I just couldn't get anything through. Go. We had no problem expanding spending, and we had no problem, spending on military and throwing $5 trillion away on a jet that we're not even going to fucking use. And we had no problem strengthening the Patriot Act, and we had no problem getting all this kind of stuff done. We got a lot done, but not the stuff I was going to do for you guys because of those fucking assholes in Congress. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, geez. Well, anyways, spin rail, kids. The next guy's coming in. You're really going to enjoy him. I want you to put your hands together for Bernie Sanders coming up next. And around we go. Bush, same shit. Clinton, same shit. Before that, I was too young to know anything. So I would only be speculating. But I'll bet it's the same shit. Over and over. If Bernie gets in, right-wing people are gonna be so mad. Oh my God. If Trump gets in, left-wing people are gonna be so mad. Oh my God. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. Be back shortly on the Overdose Talk Show. It is a pleasure talking with you this evening. The American people are not at war with each other. We are building, we are learning, and we will not cast each other aside for the petty gains of a perceived intellectual elitism. We will make more of an effort to listen to one another and to be constructive through communication. We have to. It is absolutely essential. The strategy that has been used against us to completely derail productive discussion is so advanced and so far along that I'm getting legitimately afraid of our future. We don't communicate. I live above a bar, and a lot of times I go downstairs during the day when I get bored. Just talk to a few people, you know. There's a guy that works down there named Steven, and he listens to Thom Hartmann all the time. And Steven is a guy who's more into socialism, and I think he trusts government a lot more than somebody like me, or probably most people who listen to this show. And he really intellectually believes that government, although it hasn't been traditionally done, can be used as a tool of the people. And he's a very nice guy and a smart guy and very pleasant to talk to. But he traditionally has views that are more associated with the left. And we talked a little bit about the Oregon situation. And I didn't really want to get into a whole big thing about it, but, you know, he said, on his own, one of the first things he said is, you know, it really bummed me out. I really liked that guy that got shot. I said, LaVoy? He said, yeah. He said, I listened to a couple interviews he did, and I thought he was very intelligent and seemed like a really cool guy. I said, wow, you know, that is refreshing, because you know, from what I know of him, he wouldn't have been in support of what these guys did, and probably wasn't. We didn't really get into it, but, you know, it was very refreshing to hear somebody who comes kind of more from the side that demonizes this kind of thing just go, yeah, I did listen to one of the individuals, and I liked him as a person, although I may not have agreed with everything he said. Me and Steven talk a lot. I get stuck talking to that guy for 2-3 hours sometimes, because we disagree on almost everything, but we truly enjoy each other's company. So it's very refreshing and fun in a lot of ways. He's a black guy from New Orleans. I don't know. He's a hardworking guy. He's got a couple kids, I think. He, you know, does his thing. He doesn't drink. He's a vegetarian. There's not a lot of similarities between us at all. And, but we've gained a mutual respect for our polite discourse that we tend to have naturally together. So this is possible. Thom Hartmann, speaking of him, is probably the only left-wing radio guy that I can listen to. And again, don't agree with much of what he says, but he's a smart guy, makes strong points, and doesn't take this cop-out write-off stance. He truly flushes things out, it seems like, more than most people, and allows people to make points that disagree with him and responds to them intellectually instead of in a Alan Colmes kind of, well, you know, you're just about like, shut up. God. Alan Colmes, by the way, fuck. I used to listen to him on the way home from my cooking job when I used to be a cook, too. And the last cooking job that I ever had before I decided, fuck this, I will never work for another person again in that way of just punching a clock for their dream. You get a whole other conversation. I used to listen to Alan Colmes on the way home. And if you don't know who he is, he's a fake liberal shill. I don't even believe that he believes the things that he says. The word on the street back in the day was that Hannity and Colmes, which I think was on Fox, was basically set up where he was supposed to play the liberal part and lose the argument routinely. That's what I heard. So his show was so infuriating because he would just have people that would call in, and if they didn't suck his dick and agree with whatever he said, he would hang up on them. He had no debate skills at all. So as a listener, it was incredibly frustrating and just completely unsatisfying. And I don't know why that type of radio is massively successful and he's syndicated all over the fucking country and he's got no skills. He's got nothing. But going back to the point, it is possible to completely disagree. I don't know if you know this, but then to like someone, we get on the fucking internet, and all of us, not, you might be a lot better or whatever, but most of us out there, admittedly, we spend too much time and attach too much to this social networking stuff. And these people that make you fucking furious, and I still think this is psychologically part of the design of how these sites operate, because it's not natural to fucking have the feelings of hate that I and so many other people have felt during like comment disagreements, and something has been bred in us where we just talk to each other like cunts just constantly. It's got to somehow be part of the plan and part of the design. But these people that you just go, I want you to fucking die. I want you to jump into a volcano with your dumbass views that don't agree with mine. They're your fucking neighbors and your coworkers and the guy that fucking waved you by in traffic today and did something nice. Somebody that fucking said, hey, you forgot your change. These are all those same people. And we're being sold on this idea that just we should form into these camps and war against each other. We are not at war with each other. Now, if we can't agree that if you can't convince someone, hey, we share a common enemy, I'm not sure what to do. There is a sickness of subservience that is absolutely hard to deal with and seems to be next to impossible to break through with logical debate or discussion. I don't know what you do about that. I really don't. About people who are just too kind of scared of life, maybe, that they need a father figure in the government to assure them that everything is all right, And look, I'm not religious, but it might also be worth pointing out that a lot of the anti-government movement is, and it's possibly because they have something in their life that kind of fulfills that for them in a deity, and a lot of the pro-government movement is atheist. So you might have something of a correlation there, especially when, you see the way that people tend to worship government and politicians. Who the fuck thought that this country would get nerdy enough that people treat politicians like celebrities and they're so great? Oh my goodness. There's a real estate tycoon running for president because he's been a celebrity for decades, based almost entirely on his bewildering arrogance. And that you just can't believe the guy. That's why he's around. Because none of us can even fucking believe that he's a real person. That's the whole thing he's famous for. Basically, why is he in... Why do we know who he is? Why was Donald Trump a household name when I was 10 years old? What sense does this make? Why do we do this? Why do we fucking, idolize and turn these people into icons? I'll never understand it. And I don't understand it with Barack Obama. And I don't understand it with any of these people. With any of them. So we're not going to be able to maybe engage in logical discussion with everyone, but I think we can do better. I really do. And that's why I encourage people who comment on this shit. Hey, whatever, as much of an idiot as you might think I am, if you're not a dick, I will flush it out with you. I'll get to it sometime over the week and we'll talk, But don't come around and just comment some fucking dismissive bullshit and then just assume everyone's stupider than you. This, we have to just stop this fucking game, dude. We really have to. You know what? I'll respond to a comment or a couple of comments right now on the show. Let me find this and pull this up. But this is a pet peeve of mine, and it's a really an argument that I just don't respect. Is this idea that, hey, if you're gonna present a case, if you're gonna try to make people aware of a case, and what this was from was the John Lang murder in Fresno, California, that really looks very, 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 very bad for the police there in terms of them possibly having committed the murder. Look into John Lang out in Fresno. We've covered it on the show. The info's starting to trickle out there, and you can probably find some stuff on it by this point. Go to inleaguepress.com. I know they've got it. So, this guy looks like he was murdered by police. We're doing the story. And then, of course, somebody has to pipe up and talk about, hey, if you're gonna do this story, you can't talk about XYZ because then you could make it easy for people to write it off as like a conspiracy theory or something. Like, what? What is your problem? This guy says, here's what he says. All right, now this is, I don't even know what these, some fucking Greek symbols or something. Nike, it looks like. He says, keep in mind that if you force anti-patriot crap into it regarding a project that we're doing on John Lang, he says, well, keep in mind that if you force anti-patriot crap into it like you did with this, you'll do Lang a bare favor. And I assumed that was a typo, but I just Googled it, bare favor. And yeah, it means when you have the intent. I've never seen that or heard that before, but it means when you have the intent to do a favor and you end up doing an injustice or something like that. So I said, what anti-patriot crap, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he says, by talking like a commie, you will do the Lang case a bare favor, i.e. anyone listening will just go, right. Another conspiracy theory, my evil police. I don't know what that is, my evil police, I guess. Okay, I've had this argument over and over. It's another one. Let's fucking be clear here. You cannot completely, again, this is the write-off themed show. You don't just write off everything someone says because you disagree with or think something else they said is wrong. If you hear me say something that you think is nuts, that doesn't mean that then you have to question whether or not 2 + 2 is 4. If I tell you, 2 + 2 is 4, and you don't know how to do math whatsoever, you've never heard of math, and I say, well, look at this. We got 1, 2 here. See that? And 2 over here. Now you put them together. Count that up right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that mean that you can't trust me on that because maybe something else I said seemed nuts? So no, this guy, it's just a typical view of people that, first of all, a crazy conspiracy theory is another thing he says here, and I don't know what that means. That is such a dumb cop-out term. It has no use, at all. What does that mean? I've heard people say, we've talked about it before, I don't believe conspiracy theories. What what's a conspiracy? That doesn't have, I mean, so you don't believe in the idea that someone could theorize that two people conspired to do something secretly? You don't believe that happens? You don't think that that's possible, huh? Okay, then. And I'm the crazy one, huh? All right. You know, you just because somebody doesn't fulfill your arbitrary standards of credibility doesn't mean that you throw out everything else they ever say. Logic is still logic. Facts are still facts, no matter what you want to believe. That is just how it works. So if somebody comes along and says, man, they laid this whole John Lang thing out, there's a timeline, there's fucking screenshots of all the evidence, the whole case is laid out here without any bullshit thrown in. Hey, yeah, but did you hear their segment on overthrowing the government? Oh, well, these guys are nuts. Fuck this then. Why? How does... It's again, something is wrong in this fucking country. And maybe this world, and I don't know, or maybe the human mind in general. Some part of the synapses is not fucking firing here for a lot of you. I don't care if you want to write things off as crazy conspiracy theories. Again, just another way of not having to engage in a logical, point-by-point, linear fucking discussion. It's a disease. So don't make that argument, please. It's stupid. It's stupid. Typically, we've heard, hey, if you talk about this issue, you guys can't joke around because you just sound like a bunch of stoners or whatever, and people are going to dismiss it. Well, you know, it sounds like you already have dismissed it, and I don't care. That's part of the reason that I fight this entire fucking, you know, call it whatever you want. Some people call it the rise of the clones. Some people call it the New World Order, one world government, the descent into dystopia, whatever. You know, a lot of us agree that it's happening and that we're dwindling down into a small proletariat workforce to produce resources for the elite, and we're completely controlled. I mean, here's my point. The reason I fight that, and the reason it feels unnatural and inhuman, is because I see the erosion of the good things in life, and the march that we're on towards just complete slavery and misery as a culture and as a species. And I don't want to sacrifice joking around because you want me to mimic the mainstream news sources that lie to you constantly. Go over to InfoWars. Go to Mark Dice. Go to whoever. I don't know. Go to one of the millions of choices there are of people who present everything dryly and just fact by fact, and they worship this no nonsense delivery. Go. There's plenty of that. Go. I'm not going to fucking live that way. I'm not losing my personality. I'm not losing my humor. If you think it discredits me, I don't need you. You know? Go live in your fucking dry world. I'm no longer interested in waking up the zombies. We've got numbers in terms of awakened masses. We've got some serious numbers. I'm no longer interested in people that need to be spoon-fed everything in a completely comfortable and matter-of-fact way to believe it. Then fuck you. Your mind sucks. You know? And now I'm doing the write-off thing. But shit, if you think like that, that's just another one. I don't have the answer for that. I don't know how to talk to someone like that. I'm not throwing out all of the fucking pleasantries. That's for damn sure. I got an article here that says 300 plumbers poured into Flint, Michigan to install water filters for free. These are volunteers from local plumbers. Let's see, Union Associated Local 370. These guys have been around since October, I guess, converting older faucets to get ready for these new filters they want to put on. And these are all volunteers. I mean, this is a perfect example of people holding each other up and doing the right thing in the absence of an effective government. You know what? And I'm not even going to say an ineffective government. I'm going to say a deliberately corrupt and insane government. I mean, the choices that were made to save a few dollars in Flint, you know, by not putting that chemical in when they changed their water source. You know, they were supposed to put a chemical in so that this stuff didn't come off in the pipes and start poisoning everyone. So, I mean, it was a choice. They knew the risks, and they knew it was happening for a really long time and did nothing. There were people speaking out about it for over a year. It just hit, you know, for whatever reason, just kind of hit everybody recently, but this has been going on for a long time. And what do you got? When government fails, people succeed, and they help each other. This is a theme. Down here, during Katrina, government failed. Oh, but did it? Did it fail, or was it a deliberate tactic to feign, you know, underfunding and ineptitude in order to justify a massive expansion of those programs? That's another one. That's another conversation. But, you know, we saw the massive response from private citizens in Katrina that wanted to help, and in many cases were turned away. So when government fails, people time and time again step in and do the right thing. And we don't like to see each other suffer. We are not at war in this country. We actually are quite fond of each other, and we typically just act like cunts on the internet. Yeah, there was a guy with hundreds of boats or something that got turned away. Another guy with helicopters that got turned away. Many people that just tried to boat in from wherever they could and just figured, hey, I'll go around, I'll pick people up. I'm watching TV. There's people standing on the roof. Anderson Cooper is fucking handing out bottled water. What am I doing? You know? And they got in their boats and they went out there and they were turned back at gunpoint. You can't, no. There's looting and chaos here. We're not letting anybody else in. Only certified officials, because we can be trusted. There's 100 stories about it. 100 stories about it. And so we're supposed to still buy into this idea. Yeah, it would be chaos without these guys, huh? Boy, oh boy. Denver officer said, don't fuck with the biggest gang in Denver. Yeah, well. Yeah, that's no surprise. Police are a gang. We know all about it. Next, you can make your own cyborg cockroach, apparently. I'm just going through these articles here. What do we got? Cyborg cockroaches. Oh, my God. I'm not sure if I can really feel too much for a cockroach because they just fucking, ew, God. Now that I live down here again, man, up north, you don't realize how good you have it with cockroaches. Then you come down to this fucking hell in the jungle. You just put a city in a swamp. We'll just live here. Let's keep more people come. We'll just keep building here. Now our culture is too valuable and we can't leave. Look at this place. It's stupid. You come to somewhere like here, New Orleans, and it's just, dude, cockroaches everywhere, in everything. I mean, just, oh man. So I hate them so much, but this still seems cruel. They're putting little motherboards in cockroaches and then making them like remote control, I guess. Build your own remote control cockroach. Once you're done with that, let's see. You'll need to anesthetize the cockroach by submerging it into ice water before sanding down the top of its thorax. the bit between its neck and abdomen, attaching your Arduino, I guess that's the product, and trimming the antennae so you can insert wires into the hollows. Finally, and perhaps most disconcertingly, you'll have to insert another wire into the creature's thorax by means of first creating a perforation with a pin. Once you're done with that and programming the Arduino, I don't know what this is, it requires about 6 lines of code. Nothing too arduous at all, and you'll be able to take your roach out for a test drive. The hack works by stimulating the cockroach's antennae with variable frequencies, causing it to believe there is a wall ahead. However, let's see, the cockroach will eventually cease responding to stimuli and go its own way, likely because biological life is susceptible to desensitization. But apparently, if you get this thing, for a minute, you can have a remote control cockroach. I don't know why you would pay money for that. It's about $30, I guess. Arduino. Arduino. Check that out. Look it up if you want. I'm done with it. Research shows Earth is actually made of 2 planets, according to allthatisinteresting.com. New research about an early Earth collision is changing the theory of how Earth and the Moon were formed. From the University of California, Los Angeles, new research from the University of California, Los Angeles, drastically alters popular conceptions of how the Earth and the Moon were formed. According to the UCLA researchers' findings, the planet Theia directly collided with a young Earth 4.5 billion years ago, hitting so hard that the 2 planets became one, while a small chunk broke off to become the Moon. And that is fucking awesome, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was in 3rd grade, there was a kid named Pat Sakosha, and I don't know why, but he talked different than us, and it was almost sort of like an East Coast sounding thing, and I don't know if that's where his family was from, but I may be remembering it wrong, but he had this funny high-pitched voice, and a lot of us used to give him shit, but generally I think, you know, nobody disliked him. He was a nice kid. Anyways, he was comical, and we're talking about in class one day the formation of the Earth and the Moon and all this stuff, and he raises his hand and he goes, "Here's my theory. I think a long time ago the Earth, was a lot bigger, and another planet came along and smashed into it, knocking off a chunk of the Earth, creating the Moon." I'll never forget the way he said, "knocking off a chunk of the Earth." And that thing is stuck in my head for fucking 25 years or something. About that, how stupid of an idea that was. It's like, shut up, you idiot. That didn't happen, and the way he said it was so perfect. And now I'm reading that Pat Sakosha might have had it right the entire time. Scientists already knew that Earth and a Mars-sized Theia had made contact when Earth was just 100 million years old, but it was previously believed that Theia, had just swiped Earth with the debris, entering Earth's orbit to form the Moon. And if that were the case, however, the Moon would presumably have different oxygen isotopes to Earth. Why would it be perfectly round and have a face on it? The Moon's up to something. Have you ever just do this with one of your friends? One of you has to be the Earth, and one of you is the Moon. Now, the Moon, you only see one side of it. I've pointed this out to people, and they've never even thought of that before. They go, "You do?" I'm like, "Yes. Are you kidding? What do you think the fucking dark side of the Moon is about? Ooh, what's over there?" Nobody knows. Well, we didn't until they took pictures, but, you do this little model with a friend of yours. One of you be the Earth. Okay, so what does that mean? You need to stand in one place, basically, and just turn in a circle, because we're not going to represent the whole solar system here. We're just going to represent Earth and the Moon. So you do your rotation, standing in one spot. You're just spinning as the Earth is said to spin. And now, your friend is the Moon. And what he does is he sidesteps in a circle around you without ever taking his eyes off of you for eternity. fucking controls the tides my ass. That thing is watching us. Something is going on with the moon. Do that little experiment and see how creeped out you feel. You're just walking in a circle around me, watching me. Why don't you ever spin too? Oh, well, I spin, but you can't perceive it because, science, you wouldn't understand. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Am I stupid? Quite possibly. I hope not. What else we got here? Oh, some new evidence of NASA being involved in drone weather modification programs having to do with chemtrails, I think. So there's new evidence out. This is from WeThePeopleReport.com. Anonymous have leaked information that their claim originate from NASA servers showing evidence of an extensive drone weather modification program that prove chemtrails exist. Well, again, we all act like we can't make logical determinations and see something in the sky and go, well, okay, this one dissipates over an amount of time, and you see, a contrail, which is condensation, and you see as a plane leaves it going across the sky, the end of it, where it's the oldest, breaks up and dissipates, and the whole goes down the line, and it's gone before too long. Now you fucking tell me that you see I have spent days back when we were talking about chemtrails a lot, just calling the old co-host of this show, the Earthling, and talking to him all day, and he'd go, hey, there's another one. Look outside right now. They just formed like a fucking giant asterisk over us in these trails, and they're not going away. And we're looking, and we're going, are we crazy? This is happening, right? There's just this, all of a sudden, this, 6 or 8 planes have left their trails in a fucking asterisk pattern, and they expanded. They never went away. We watched them all day. They kept expanding, and they became clouds, and I'm not kidding you. And I've seen it plenty of times. I used to pay a lot more attention to it than I do now. But I'm sure that some of you out there have noticed the same thing. What the fuck is that? AnonSec released paper. What is that? That's a fucking typo. Anonymous, I would hope. I don't know what that is. Released a paper that contained a detailed account of their hack, as well as analysis of the NASA data they recovered. The data reveals information about NASA's connection to weather modification research in a log of DC-8 jetliner, which was conducting a flight in accordance with their alternative fuel effects on contrails and cruise emissions project. AnonSec admitted default Virusa leaked the information early last week to Michael Thalin of InfoWars before making a public release Sunday. Oh, InfoWars. Well, then it's bullshit. Also released Sunday was a 276 gigabyte data package of 631 aircraft and radar videos, 2,143 flight logs, and the personal data of 2,414 NASA employees. And let's see what else. All right, whatever. This gets a lot more into it, but it's fucking late here, and I gotta wrap this up. So I don't know. That's just a little bit on that, and you can look further into it if you'd like. I'm not sure if I will or not. Oh, and this one last thing. This kid, what's his name? White Boy something. White Boy Rick. I've never heard of this guy before, but he's been in jail since the 80s. I don't know. Let me find what year. He was 17 years old, 88, and he went to jail for cocaine. He had a shitload of cocaine, but he got a life sentence because this was at a time of massive demonization of cocaine. The violence in a lot of big cities was just skyrocketing, since the popularization of crack. And they were convicting people of life sentences for possession and for distribution. More for distribution. And it was a really dark time because really what this guy was an entrepreneur. He never guaranteed took anybody's money at gun. Well, I can't guarantee that, But in a cocaine transaction, he's not fucking putting a gun to anybody's head to make them buy the coke. He's identifying a gap in a market that he can take advantage of like a good entrepreneur does, and he got fucked. He probably wasn't paying the people off that he should, but it says he was 17 in Detroit, and he's got shitloads of money. He's wearing expensive clothes and got cool cars and stuff. I can't imagine being like that at 17. I was not that cool at all. He was known for wearing European suits and dealing drugs in the Detroit area. Dude, at 17, I was known for like not being able to find my shoes and coming up with bad lies when I'm confronted on things. That's like the best I could do at 17. And attempting to be a weed dealer and losing money every time. That's the kind of shit I did. He will be resentenced now because a judge, I guess, is saying, these the laws now as they are wouldn't allow for a 17-year-old to be sentenced this way, and I think we should go back and relook at this. And amazingly, from what I've read, the prosecution is saying no, this was right. He should be in jail for the rest of his life for cocaine. And it doesn't matter the amount of cocaine. It does not matter. It's just wrong. It's just fucking wrong, obviously. And it was 650 grams. But just so you know, that's a lot. And, it's not... Obviously, I think all drugs should be completely legal. I'm not going to go into the whole thing right now. But so clearly my view is going to be that this is atrocious. But, I can't believe in this day and age, after the guy has been in jail for almost 30 years, there's still a prosecutor going, yeah, no, we want him in there for life. What the fuck is wrong with you? They say the action of the civil court here is the wrong relief, in the wrong forum, for the wrong reasons. It should be promptly reversed. Commenting on the judge saying that this guy should be resentenced according to juvenile laws. This is fucking insane. If the defendant were to be resentenced today for the crime he committed in 1987, his potential guidelines in this case are as low as 42 to 70 months, it said. It is highly unlikely the defendant would have received a life sentence if any number of years was an option. And that's the document that this judge came up with. So, I guess this guy was friends with Kid Rock back in the day. How do people get to be that cool at 17? They're fucking... Whatever. Oh, well, you know what? That was many years before Kid Rock was probably just a scumbag in 88, actually, I guess. But, so I guess that's not that so cool. But fuck, man. I'm so jealous of people that just have that shit together at an early age, that idea of success and attaining something and just going out and getting it. It took me so many years to get that. And I still am not good at it. And just people that just go out and fucking take it. I'm like, man, I just marvel at that. People that just do it naturally and never had to be taught. That is a cool trait to have. And I hope White Boy Rick, man, because his pictures now, it's sad. You see his picture here when he's when he's 17 going into prison. He's a fucking child. He is a child. And you're putting him in prison for the rest of his life, and now you see pictures of him. It's like, man, well, that's not... Nobody's ever going to get that back. This guy's life is gone. He's an old man according to a lot of people's standards at this point. He's almost 50. He's been in prison most of the time. He's fucking... What quality of life is this guy ever going to have again? You took everything from him. Everything. Free White Boy Rick. That's what I say. And I think I'm going to get out of here and stop with my narcissistic rambling, because that's kind of what you have to be to just sit in a room by yourself talking and assuming someone's going to want to listen to it. But yeah, I use my powers of narcissistic rambling to my advantage when I have to do a show alone. Hey, just like all our beloved politicians do. This is the Overdose Talk Show. I'll see y'all real soon. Don't comment like a dick. Comment like a cool guy and we can talk. Later.